Sleeper, written by Ed Brubaker and illustrated by Sean Phillips, is an example of writing and art coming alive perfectly on a comic book page. Their body of work is further proof of that statement. In very simple terms, there's a unique chemical reaction that occurs when they work together. The tone of the writing matches the atmosphere of the artwork. It produces a distinct gritty mood that's obvious without even reading one word or analyzing a single panel. Sleeper may be an early example of this creative team working together, but it reads like two people who have been collaborating for decades. Sleeper takes place in the Wildstorm universe, which was originally created by Jim Lee for Image Comics, a company he and other well-known creators established in 1992. By the time Sleeper started in 2003, Jim Lee had sold Wildstorm to DC and accepted an editorial position with that company. Also around this time, the imprint became more adult-focused. This was reflected in such titles as The Authority, Wildcats, Planetary, and of course, Sleeper. In other words, Wildstorm filled the content void between mature content with a supernatural edge, as provided by Vertigo, and mainstream superhero content, as provided by DC. This is where Sleeper comfortably existed for 24 issues. Although, technically, Sleeper begins with the 5-issue miniseries Point Blank from 2002. It's in Point Blank that we first meet Holden Carver, the character that would become the focus of the Sleeper series. In Point Blank, he is a supporting character that facilitates communication between the protagonist of that series, Grifter, and the antagonist, Tau. Regardless, the series does establish that Carver is a secret agent trapped in an undercover role he can't escape. As for a starting point, Point Blank is recommended. But it's not entirely necessary, as everything you need to know about the backstory of Holden Carver is well established within Sleeper itself. In fact, one of the strengths of Sleeper is one doesn't need foreknowledge of Point Blank or the established Wildstorm universe to completely understand the events that unfold. The only piece of information that might be useful is Tau's backstory. Tau was a character introduced by Alan Moore during his tenure on Wildcats. Despite being part of the team, Tau manipulated the group into following his own questionable agenda. This ended with him faking his own death and disappearing. Afterwards, he assembled a criminal empire and became the kingpin of the Wildstorm universe. Again, this isn't overly essential information. It's good to know on a continuity level, but the story doesn't seem incomplete without it. The series is all about Holden Carver's struggle to extract himself out of the life he has found himself living within. He's a deep cover agent for a government organization called International Operations, and he's been assigned to infiltrate, then take down a superhero crime organization established by Tau, a highly intelligent individual that can read people like a cheap paperback novel. Carver's only outside contact, the only one with the knowledge of his mission, is John Lynch, the director of International Operations. Lynch, as seen in the Point Blank miniseries, has been shot and remains in a coma. Therefore, Carver has no way out. He has no way of clearing his name and proving he's an agent on a mission, not an evil thug with superpowers. So, Carver finds himself living out his cover story. He lives a life based on nothing but lies, half-truths, and withheld information, while attempting to get back to the life he left behind. He is, in effect, nothing but a person composed of the lies he has to tell just to survive. It's also a series about missions, counter-missions, agents, double agents, and the secret agendas all the principal characters pursue. It's a tangled, jumbled mess, where Carver can only be certain of one thing. He is being purposefully misled, and he's being set up to fulfill someone else's secret agenda. The series contains a range of interesting, well-established characters. For example, there's Peter Grimm, who is openly hostile towards Carver and clearly suspects he's not trustworthy. Then there's Tau, the leader of the criminal organization, and a master manipulator who challenges Carver's motivations and perspective. Tau projects an undercurrent of constant suspicion. He continually keeps Carver in a state of heightened paranoia, possibly to see if he can break that well-managed exterior Carver maintains, or for that matter, to convert Carver entirely to the criminal lifestyle. Tau's motivations are never clear. He is always enigmatic, but he's also highly dangerous. It's very likely Tau knows Carver is a double agent, and he respects the game he's playing, which may be Tau's motivation to keep Carver around. He sees Carver as a piece on a game board, one who is trying to secure their independence from the game, and it amuses Tau to keep Carver in play. He enjoys watching Carver adapt to the game. In essence, Tau puts Carver in situations with morally gray areas, testing his dedication and deepening his involvement in criminal activities. In this respect, Carver is useful and effective, but the moment Carver fails to service Tao's agenda, that's when he'll take him out. And there's Miss Misery, the complex bad girl archetype. She embodies all the elements of the criminal lifestyle Carver finds disgusting, but also compelling and attractive. On the surface, Ms. Misery appears to be a typical male fantasy of a woman gone astray. She drinks, smokes, and swears to excess, and she degrades her lovers to feel pleasure. But she's not a slave to these elements, nor do they diminish her as a person. They empower her, both literally and figuratively. What saves her from being a typical bad girl is she was neither born bad nor was she led astray by some male figure. She consciously embraces the fact that she derives power from being a manipulator that uses both her sexuality and her intelligence to achieve her goals. In typical male fashion, Carver wants to save her from this bad girl lifestyle, but it's not a lifestyle Ms. Misery needs to be saved from. Carter believes that Ms. Misery can be a better person, but that better person, that ideal self, thrives in the life she currently lives. Being good, whatever that means, and conforming to the expectations of society sickens her, again both literally and figuratively. And Carver can't accept this. In essence, he wants her to adapt to his needs so he can justify the attraction he feels towards her. But Ms. Misery will not change. She is exactly who she needs to be. Her flaw is she believes that Carver will eventually embrace the fully formed woman she is and realize there is nothing about her that needs to change. In other words, she requires acceptance, not approval. Sleeper is notable for being 24 issues that are 24 complete stories, all of which are separate pieces that compose one 24-issue main story. For the most part, one can read a random issue and get an entire story from that single issue. It's a done-in-one style that's rare in modern comics. Naturally, it's best to read it from beginning to end, but it has to be acknowledged it's done like a classic episodic comic book. Each issue is self-contained, and the actual story arc is the entire series itself. In the end, Sleeper is a twisted spy adventure containing superpowered individuals that live in the dark margins of society. It's relentless and fast-paced. It's so well scripted and illustrated that one never loses their place or feel like they don't understand all the plots and subplots that are going on simultaneously. While the story is only told from Holden Carver's perspective, he's a very perceptive character. The internal life of the characters around him are revealed through our undistorted view of his perspective. Put another way, what we read comes off as genuine. The reader is not intentionally misdirected by the point of view character. Or in other words, Brubaker doesn't resort to cheap tricks to hide the plot from the reader. Overall, Sleeper is very economical in both writing and the artwork. Things left unsaid are hinted at by character expression and actions, as opposed to captions explaining what one should be perceiving. These are ambiguities that only heighten the tension. Furthermore, the artwork is appropriate for the style of story being told. It feels and looks like a modern noir thriller. Notably, the entire page is usually the establishing shot, with inset interlocking panels arranged over top of that scene, like links in a chain. This works to organically draw the eye through the page from panel to panel. That's a design choice that's simple in theory and very effective in use, and Sean Phillips makes it work flawlessly. So, for those looking for superhero content that's more adult, with dark twists and turns, and characters that feel real, but also doesn't read like a deconstruction of the genre, or contains over-the-top situations with a naughty or edgy purpose, then Sleeper is a very fine, exhilarating read. Thanks to all my subscribers, and an even larger thanks to those that directly support this channel with their memberships. Like, comment, and share. All feedback helps me determine what to produce in the future as I try to build this channel into something sustainable. Thanks for watching. Until next time.